I have no idea.
So I'll warn you right now, my stories are not on the funny side of mortified. They're on the scary, terrifying side of mortified. So I'll start with, I guess, the most mild and most recent one. So it's New Year's night, 2 a.m. I just got home and I'm hanging out at my old roommate's sister's house. And going to bed with my boyfriend. We have a 15-hour drive ahead of us the next day. And we're in bed, we're going to sleep about 2:15 in the morning, and then we hear the scream. And we hear the scream, the woman screams like 10 times in a row. And it's the most terrifying scream I've ever heard in my life. And I turn to my boyfriend and I go, what the hell was that? And then it's quiet for a little bit. And then I hear a very whimpery, get away from me. And I was terrified. So I call the cops, and I don't even know where I am because I'm at my roommate's sister's house, and it's the first time I've ever been there. And so I'm trying to tell the lady on the phone where I am. And I can't really describe it. And so while I'm doing that, my boyfriend gets dressed and goes outside, and I thought he was crazy, because I mean, who goes outside after they hear a scream? But he's a good Samaritan like that. So he went outside and thankfully didn't see anything traumatic. There was a woman with some guy, and he asked him if everything was all right. They didn't respond to him, and then some car drove off, and that was it. So we found out a couple weeks later that in the block that we were staying in, there had been 3 crimes that night on New Year's Eve while we were there. And the 2 ones that I did not hear, there was an assault and then there was an actual murder on that corner. And based on the time of when these crimes were reported, we think the one that we heard was an assault where the woman screamed and the guy walked away. So, I didn't hear someone get murdered, yay. But I still heard an assault. So that was a little weird. So yeah, that's traumatizing story number 1. Traumatizing story number 2. I guess I'll do these in reverse chronological order. I'm at a dog park with my dog. She's like 5 months old. It's my second time going to the dog park. And there's an adoption thing running. It's a pointer adoption thing. And I don't know if you guys know how pointers are as a breed, but they kind of look like hound dogs. All the ones there that they were like brown or black, and they have big spots and then like blue heel spots. But that's besides the point. Anyway, they're crazy. They're really, really hyperactive and excitable. And so there's 10 of them at the dog park this day. And so they're all getting each other riled up. And apparently, I was talking to a couple people a couple weeks later, and they told me that on one side of the dog park, this dog park's really big, and there's a big bushel of, I think, bamboo in the middle, so you can't see the other side of the park. So on the other side of the park, these pointers get really riled up. So on the other side of the park, closer to the entrance, closer to the small dog area, there's a woman decides to come out of the small dog area with her 2 little dogs because she wants to refill the water. This is in Texas. I live in Austin. Or I lived in Austin at the time. It's 105 degrees out. She wants to refill the water for the small dog area. And she invites her dogs to come out with her, and they're little terriers about this big. And so she has them come out, and then these dogs come around. And then I'm watching my dog, and then I hear terrifying screams again. And I hear the woman who just came out screaming, "Oh my God!" And I look, and one of the pointers that's up for adoption has grabbed one of her little dogs and is flinging it around like it's a rag doll. And I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. And there's a bunch of other people around too. And so finally, they get the pointer to let go of the puppy, or the small dog. And I see the small dog, I look at it, it's whimpering, the saddest puppy whimper ever, and I look at it and its side is split open right here, and a little bit of its intestines had popped out. So, I don't know what happened to that dog, but the woman picked him up and ran out, and it looked to me like it was one of those things that you just pop back in and then sew up. I don't know. But I hope that one ended well. I think he's going to be okay. But yeah, so that's traumatizing story number 2. Traumatizing story number 3, the furthest one, previous, let's see, it's summer 2009, 2010, so just a couple years ago. And I go to Paris to visit my friend, who's a good friend of mine from high school. And it's my first full day in Paris. I'm still a little jet lagged. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what else to do in Paris. Let's just go see the Eiffel Tower. Whatever. So we get on the metro, and we get to our last stop. And we're at the stop, and she and I, we're sitting, we're waiting for the train to pull up. The train starts to pull up, and we see a guy run in the corner of our eyes. And so we see him run, and we turn, and then he jumps. And he gets hit by the train.
Oh!
Yeah. First day in Paris. First day in Paris. Oh. And so my friend and I were sitting there, and I look over there, and I look at her, and I look back, and both of us just look at each other and say, did that just happen? And then the train stops, of course, and everyone, they don't let the train conductor, driver, whatever, stops, and then he waits a couple minutes and then lets everyone out. My friend and I are frozen. We're just staring, and we don't know what to do. And everyone comes out and surrounds us because they know that we've seen it just by the looks on our faces. And they're like, what just happened? So I don't speak a word of French. I didn't even know that s'il vous plaît meant please. So I'm sitting there, and people are speaking at me in French, and I don't know what's going on. And my friend speaks very good French, apparently, because everyone didn't judge her. And she tells him what happens, and what was more traumatizing than actually seeing the guy, a little bit of a side, when I saw the guy jump, it's my first day in Paris, so I'm thinking he's just doing a party trick.
Oh.
Like, it's, maybe this is something people do, and then once the train pulls away, he'll pop out on the other side and be like, hey, tips. Like, give me some tips. No, that's not what happened. And so my friend tells the crowd of people around us what happened, and this woman starts having a panic attack, and she's just flailing all over the place and crying, and then the people who run the metro come and they scoop us up and they take us back to this back room, and they're like, okay, tell us what happened, and they're asking the woman who's in hysterics, and then they find out she didn't see anything, and they're like, why the hell are you in here, and they kick her out. So that was ridiculous. But then after that, I go with my friend, and I get to ride in my first cop car ever in Paris on my first day in Paris after seeing a guy get hit by a train.
Oh.
So yeah, those are my 3 mortifying stories.